Hi again, everybody. Doug Miles along with Don Henderson as we come to you on another beautiful Saturday here in Sarasota, Florida, mid-April day. And Don, we're just kind of commenting here, nice breeze, even for middle of April, kind of March weather for Florida.
Well, so many things going on in the world of sports right now, but you're right. It could not be better than it is in Sarasota, Florida right now. And this is really a continuation since January. We've had one of the great winters of all time in Sarasota.
Didn't really have any cold weather.
No.
For Florida.
And very little rain even. I mean, this month.
Last week we had a couple of thunderstorms, but that was the first we've had in several months.
East Coast got a lot of it. Fort Lauderdale got buried one day, but we've been very fortunate here. But boy, is there a sports package going on right now in the world of TV?
No question. We'll talk about hockey first. Of course, the playoffs getting underway this week, and the Lightning in a bit of a battle with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Lightning got off to a great start. Won the first game. Looked like they, as they were saying all year, when it comes to the postseason, the Lightning are going to be like they've always been. They're going to be very tough to beat. Came out in the first game and they just blitzed Toronto. Toronto hasn't won a playoff series in almost 100 years. Yeah. But then the Maple Leafs came out in game two and put the Lightning to sleep.
7-2.
1-1 going into today.
And, as you said, the Lightning, of course, have been in the finals 3 years in a row, and often what happens is the season is so long when you get that far in the playoffs. They won 2 cups in a row, then last year they go to the finals, lose to Colorado, but just the fatigue factor sets in, and that's one of the tough things you got to deal with.
And they had a big loss. Their defenseman was taken out in the first period of game number 2 and did not come back on the ice. I have not seen whether he's going to be able to play today. He tried to skate, but was ineffective and he couldn't play in game 2. And as they say, lower body injury. They don't tell you what it is. Just lower
always
body.
Very vague when they say that.
Oh yeah, lower body injury. So we don't know whether he's going to be able to play or not.
Tell you, we talked last time. We talked hockey about the surprise Seattle Kraken expansion team making the playoffs, and they're doing a pretty good job in their series. They're tied at 1 apiece.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Same with Vegas. They're doing well in their series.
Well, we follow Phil Mustard quite a bit in the New York Post, and he talks about how much more exciting the National Hockey League playoffs are than the NBA. The NBA is just a continuation of the regular season, and the Nets have not been playing well. I saw them last night. It's just they're not a very, very good team, and so the NBA playoffs so far, maybe when they get to the next level, they'll pick up and just the idea of the players playing tough, and they're not playing tough in the NBA.
That's always been the thing when people say hockey, I'm not really into it. I always said, watch playoff hockey.
That's right.
It's a whole different level, and the excitement, obviously, with the overtime, if you go to overtime, but just the intensity level is much better. Basketball, like you said, I have not followed basketball, watched it. It's just not a great quality anymore, but hockey does have that still. And not as many stars as there used to be, but the intensity is still there.
The other thing is we're fortunate. I mean, we've got the Devils, we've got the Islanders, we've got the Rangers. I mean, all 3 teams are in the playoffs. Now, they're not all going to win, obviously. The Rangers seem to be off to the best start.
Right.
But and they seem to have the best team. They made some great strides in the last month of the season, made a couple of trades. I think they've got a shot to go a little bit further. But it's great for the New York fans because they've got 3 teams to watch.
Yeah, Islanders needed to win desperately. They got it. Yeah. Against Carolina. They were down in the hole 2-0 there. But Rangers, like you mentioned, up ahead of New Jersey. They play again tonight.
Yeah.
Good hockey going on in New York, and we'll move on now to some baseball news. Kind of interesting. It has a tie-in a little bit to our Tampa Bay Rays down here. I think it will affect it maybe somehow. But the Oakland A's announced this week that they are not going to negotiate with the city of Oakland anymore to get a new stadium, and it looks about, if not 100%, maybe like 98%, they're going to go to Vegas.
Yeah, they put up $1.5 billion to buy the ground to put the new stadium in. You said you were there not too long ago.
Yeah.
And you said it's right by the MGM?
Right by New York, I believe.
New York,
from what I saw,
okay. Yeah. And so they did put the $1.5 billion, or they didn't put it up yet, but I mean,
there's an agreement.
Signed a contract to put $1.5 billion up and move them out of Oakland. And the commissioner had said that, the time has come now. We waited long enough for Oakland to build the new stadium. They haven't done it, and they're going to now move to Vegas. It's pretty much a concrete And of course, everything else is in Tampa is sort of on a standstill as well. They're not going to go anywhere. And boy, what a way they've gotten off. Won again last night, came from behind to win 8-7, a couple of home runs in the bottom of the ninth inning. They tied an all-time consecutive win record at home.
Right.
And they got what 13-0 to start the season.
17-3 right now.
Yeah, and they just keep going. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the reason I say it ties in a bit to with the Tampa Bay situation. I think Major League Baseball was kind of waiting to see what happened with Oakland first with their stadium.
Yeah.
Of course, now they're going to leave that. Tampa, their lease is up in what, 3 years? They have to do something. They're not going to stay in Tropicana Field after 27. So the Rays, they're not going to build a stadium in Tampa. I don't think that's ever going to happen. So they will move somewhere.
I agree. I don't think it's going to happen either. And so we're just going to have to wait and see. The commissioner came in last year and said, we got to study this and make a decision of what's going to happen with this franchise. They don't want to move it, but at the same time, they're not getting any commitment to do anything or build a stadium in the Tampa-St. Pete area. So I don't see, in the next couple of years, they're going to have to do something unless they can pick up with the attendance. And I can't understand it. I mean, right now, they're in first place, playing better than anybody, and it's still tough to get,
Well, that's it. Oakland, they've never drawn well, even back to the years in the 70s when they had the three in a row in the La Russa years. But the Rays have played so well the last, 8-9 years now? They still can't draw.
Even when they went to the World Series, they still had the upper deck closed.
Open seats,
they couldn't.
Or closed seats with the chart.
They had the covers over the seats, and so it's unfortunate because they've had terrific management. They've had great opportunity.
And they do it all on budget, under budget.
Low budget. I mean, $80 million. I mean, everybody else is spending $300 million.
It's got to be the great scouting or great minor league management.
Great front office management. You can't beat it. I mean, they've made every right move so far.
Yeah. But just getting back to wrap up the Oakland thing, I think it's a no-lose situation for Vegas because even if Oakland stinks, all these other teams that are going to go out there, look at all the people that'll say, hey, my Yankees are going out to play Oakland, let's do a 3-day junket in Vegas. Yeah. You're going to fill the hotels up with baseball fans. I
think they'll be very, very successful. The hockey club proved, and not only that, they proved two things. They proved an expansion team with the new way they delivered players.
Got to the finals.
They got to the finals the very first year, and they're right back in the hunt again this year. When was an expansion team ever in that position?
Never.
But the way that
except when the NHL expanded in '67, you had to have one in the West.
But Bateman, the way he orchestrated, the way you got to give them legitimate players.
Right.
You can't just give them.
Used to give them the
garbage,
the old has-been players in the expansion draft.
And they proved that this new system has been very effective, as you mentioned at the top of the show. Did a great job in Seattle. They did an outstanding job in Vegas, and. Same thing will happen, and they're doing a great job with the football team. That's going to turn around too, with good management and a stable environment in Vegas. They're going to do well there too.
Davis isn't exactly great ownership, but but the team might turn it around there. But we'll just kind of go on to baseball. You talked a little before about how well the Rays were doing, but kind of a weird story out of New York. Max Scherzer gets a 10-day. Paid, I guess it's a paid vacation. They don't take the money away from him, but for finding some sticky stuff in his glove, huh?
Well, it's the second time. The Yankees had the same problem with German last week. They're going to have to make a decision because, as John Heyman wrote in the New York Post yesterday, it's umpire's decision. And it appeared that Scherzer did everything the umpire wanted to do. He took it back, washed the glove down supposedly with alcohol, did all the things they asked him to do, and he was saying it's part rosin, part sweat, and that was the cause of the problem.
Yeah.
But they didn't accept it, so as soon as he was thrown out of the game in the fourth inning, it automatically gives you a 10-day suspension to go along with it. So we'll see what happens from here on out.
So the Mets are without Scherzer for 10 days, and of course Verlander's still out with the injury. That's $80 million of payroll this year. They're not able to use either of those two guys.
I'll tell you, Cohen's having some tough luck. Just a couple guys hurt, pitchers hurt, and here's a guy that's $100 million over the cap. Going to pitch.
Not that it hurts his pocket. I mean, he doesn't care.
No.
But it's a lot of money.
Just the idea, you have a cap and he's $100 million over it.
Yeah.
and still, something like this happens. Still, his number one pitcher goes down, and number two has a violation
Shoulder.
charge.
Right.
Yeah, so it's too bad.
And Scherzer, again, we don't know. He's always seemed to kind of fade at the end of the year with arm tiredness. So maybe when he comes back, it's a 10-day rest. But you think, why would a guy like that need to cheat if he is cheating?
That's the whole thing. That's the decision and what you're doing is, and what the umpires are doing, are putting a cloud over Scherzer by saying that he did cheat.
Yeah.
And of course, he was.
I guess they say the sticky stuff gives you more rotation on the ball. Isn't that what it's supposed to do?
Yeah, this gives you a better grip.
Yeah, better grip, which gives you more rotation, which gives you more breaking the ball.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, that's kind of a weird story.
Shame for him because he's he's an automatic Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah.
Both pitchers are automatic Hall of Famers when they finish.
Right.
And neither one of them. Here we are. We're finished with May going into
April into May, right?
April into May, and they haven't pitched worth a quarter.
Yeah. One of the baseball you just kind of reminded me there of Hall of Famers. Clayton Kershaw wins game number 200.
200. I saw that game the other
I didn't
night.
realize he was up to that number. I looked up his stats. He's like 200 and only 88 losses.
Yeah, MLB showed the game the other night. I watched it. It was a good week for baseball because you had Judge and Ohtani going against each other at Yankee Stadium. Judge made a great catch in center field, two great catches, one over the fence and one diving catch in right center field. And so the series has been very, very good, but California hasn't done very much at the plate. They've lost both games they've played so far, but the whole week Major League Baseball has been honing in on Ohtani and Judge, and so it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, so a good week of sports. That'll kind of wrap it up for this edition. We won't do one next week, Don. I guess we won't say where you're going unless you want to say, but
I'm not sure it's next weekend or the weekend after.
That's right. No, 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we'll be here next week.
Yeah, we're going. We'll be here next year. Going over to Vegas, or not Vegas, but going to New Orleans to take a look. My wife has never been to New Orleans, so we're going to go over there for a long weekend.
Well, that'd be fine. I've never been there other than the airport. So
yeah.
But we don't have to worry about that for 2 weeks. So we'll be here next Saturday. But thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again.